With so many competitive offerings in the compact luxury SUV space, Lincoln's entry, the Corsair, got some pretty big updates for 2023. I'm at the 2022 Detroit International Auto Show. Let's take a first look. So the Lincoln Corsair was introduced a few years ago, and so for 2023, the company is giving the car a pretty extensive refresh. Remember, this is built off of the same platform as the Ford Escape, but Lincoln has really done a great job at differentiating the two models, especially when you look at the styling. Now, looking at the front fascia of the new Corsair, really the only indicator of the refresh model is this much larger Lincoln grille. This particular one here that I'm showing you is actually the GT version, which means it's the plug-in hybrid. You'll know it's a plug-in hybrid because of the blue accented Lincoln badge there, which on some models will also light up. The headlights you can see have been slightly tweaked. They now have kind of a wing shape to the LED daytime running light, LED turn signals, LED low and high beams. Some of the trim pieces here, you can see there's bright chrome, there's piano black. This particular color is called Whisper Blue. It's a new color for 2023. I personally think it looks really good. It kind of has like almost a gray finish to it, and there's a lot of beautiful metallic fleck in the actual paint itself. Now, in terms of the rest of the proportions, the Corsair is their smallest SUV currently in the lineup, which means it rides on a wheelbase that's around 107 inches long. It's around 181 inches long overall. This competes with cars like the Lexus NX, the Acura RDX, the Mercedes-Benz GLC, and the BMW X3. You can see the wheels on this particular model here. These are a 20-inch wheel wrapped in a 245 45R 20-inch tire. You can see it's kind of got like a two-tone look with the black painted pockets, the machine look. Overall, it's a nice looking design. I also like how Lincoln has painted the fenders on the GT version. There's a Corsair badge here, along with options like an available panoramic roof, black painted mirrors. You can see, unlike the Aviator, the Corsair kind of has more traditional door handles as opposed to the kind of electronic door release. But overall, you can really see from the side profile, things haven't really changed too much. Now, over at the rear, the styling changes are also pretty minimal, but this is one of the more interesting looking luxury SUVs for me. I like the full length LED taillights. You can see Lincoln is kind of proudly spelled out at the back. And then if you look at the cargo area of this vehicle, open it up, it's got a power liftgate. The GT version does lower the cargo space slightly, but you still get around 26 cubic feet of space. Fold down those seats and you get around 55 cubic feet of space. The battery pack actually lives underneath the rear seat. But you can see underneath here, there is a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. Now, under the hood of the Lincoln Corsair, Lincoln actually did simplify the lineup slightly. This one here is the plug-in hybrid. If you guys go for the base model, you'll have a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making around 250 horsepower. The plug-in hybrid model is known as the GT. This model here combines a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder with a powerful electric motor and around a 14.4 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. That produces a combine of 266 horsepower. This actually goes out through an eCVT, and unlike the Escape hybrid on which this is based, this car comes standard with all-wheel drive. You can also get all-wheel drive on the base 2-liter, but it is like a $2,300 upcharge. A CVT, an eCVT, is your transmission option if you guys go for this model, and Lincoln says this is good for around 28 miles of full electric range. Because this is built at their factory in Kentucky, this will qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Now, I also want to show you guys where the charge port is, because on the Grand Touring model, you can see it does have a level 2 charger over here, or it's the J1772. There is no DC fast charging for this vehicle because it's a plug-in hybrid. It doesn't really need that. But with the onboard charger, Lincoln says you should be able to fully charge this vehicle on a level 2 in roughly 2.5 hours. Now, moving on to the interior of the refreshed Corsair, I have to say I switched over to this reserve trim with the jet black package, which also includes this red themed interior, which is a new addition this year. And shutting the door, you can hear the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk, and this particular combination, the white with the red interior, it's kind of like a cranberry red. The seats themselves, they look fantastic. They have a high quality leather feel. The red leather continues along the dashboard with red stitching, and these seats, they're not necessarily like the 30-way perfect position seats, but these are, I believe, the 24-way perfect position seats, which are also heated and ventilated. And the big story here with the interior is now you have a larger display. The old Corsair had like an 8-inch display. Now they've enlarged this to the 13.2-inch display. Sadly, I don't have the key for the vehicle, so I can't actually fire up the display. But when you combine it with the all-digital display over here, it just has a huge improvement in the tech department. It's now one of the larger screens in the segment as opposed to being one of the smaller screens. The dashboard, you can see, has a soft touch injection molded plastic material. There's some metal trim on the upper portion of the dash as well. There's also soft touch material here with more of that leather stitching along the door panel. And all the window controls and switches, again, they feel a little bit nicer than what you're going to find in the Ford Escape, for example. Now, another big change they made this year is improvements to the Active Glide system. That's Lincoln's hands-free driver assistance tech. It's basically their version of Blue Cruise. Lincoln calls it Active Glide 1.2 because now the system will allow you to set speeds of up to 80 miles an hour, and it'll also perform automatic lane changes for you and suggest lane changes if there's a slower moving vehicle in front of you. So that's kind of stuff that GM has been doing with Super Cruise, and I mentioned in my previous reviews that Active Glide and Blue Cruise needed some updates. So I'm really excited to get behind the wheel of this model, hopefully later this year or early next year, and we can see some of the improvements that Lincoln has made. Above me, you can see the panoramic glass roof goes all the way to the back of the vehicle. This is one of the largest glass roofs that I've seen in the segment. And then down here in the center console, you can see wireless phone charging pad. There is some matte plastic black look over here, which kind of tries to look like a texturized aluminum. You have your drive mode selector here, electronic parking brake, and then you have the piano key shifter here for the 8-speed automatic on this particular model here. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat because I want to show you guys what the space is like. Now, being a compact luxury SUV, Lincoln says that you get around 38.5 inches of legroom back here. Now, this is actually a little bit more versus what you get in the GT model, because in the GT version, the battery pack lives underneath the rear seat. That actually lowers the legroom by about 2 inches. But as you can see, somebody my height, 5'7", the seats do recline back slightly. There is a pretty good amount of headroom, legroom. Headroom space, you can see, is good for somebody that's my height. Materials back here are also the same as the front seats. It's soft touch injection molded plastic. You have heated rear seats, 2-level rear seat air vents, and then Lincoln also throws in some power outlets here. You have 4 USB-C charging ports, which is definitely nice. There is an armrest here that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. And overall, I would say this is probably one of the bigger back seats. I also love the fact that the seat backs themselves, they do recline. So as Lincoln's best-selling model, the company obviously didn't want to make too many crazy changes to the Corsair, but I have to say for 2023, they've made some effective ones. The front-end styling with the larger grille, I actually like it. Some of you may prefer the older design language. The interior with the larger 13.2-inch display is a huge improvement, along with the upgrades to the Lincoln Active Glide. So I'll be curious to get my hands of this vehicle and see what that new hands-free driver assistance tech is like. Now, it is a little bit sad that they dropped the 2.3-liter turbo, but Lincoln says most people weren't buying that engine anyways. The plug-in hybrid is the one that I haven't driven yet, and I also have to say this particular one here with the jet black exterior package with the white, the red interior, the black wheels, just makes for a much more modern appearance, and you really wouldn't be able to mistake this for an Escape. It's surprising to me that the two vehicles share a platform because the Corsair just has a completely different look to it. Now, if you are looking to get your hands on this vehicle, you can actually go ahead and go to Lincoln's website today and put your reservation in for one. And Lincoln actually already announced pricing. This vehicle is going to be around $2,100 more expensive than the previous generation at a base price for the front-wheel drive version at around $39,000. Now, if you guys want all-wheel drive, it's around $23,000 or $2,300 extra. And if you want the GT version, the plug-in hybrid, that's going to start at around $54,000. Now, that is before the $7,500 federal tax credit because, like I mentioned earlier, the Corsair is built at their factory in Kentucky. So because it's built and assembled in North America, this will still qualify for the tax credit. And Lincoln is also saying this will go on sale in early 2023. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my first look overview on the 2023 Corsair. For Redline Reviews here at the 2022 Detroit International Auto Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.